Because we want to track your every move.
I like it raw.
Raw. Ooh, baby, I like it raw.
Ooh, baby, I like it raw.
Who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be shaken but endureth forever. The scepter of the wicked will not remain over the land allotted to the righteous. Do good, O Lord, to those who follow you, but to those who reject your ways, bring judgment.
Number 8, we will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. For years, Congress has required biometric entry-exit visa tracking systems, but it has never been completed. The politicians are all talk, no action, never happens, never happens. Hillary Clinton, all talk. Unfortunately, when there is action, it's always the wrong decision. Do you ever notice? In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
They got their heads chopped off, and God was nowhere in sight.
Suddenly, the implant doesn't sound so bad.
No, the implant is a deception. A lie told by the king of lies.
Microchip implants are a popular way to keep track of pets. Now, some people are getting them, but for a different reason.
The microchips can help unlock doors or log into a cell phone.
Tim Shank uses it to open his front door and manipulate a smartphone.
And it turned off my ringer.
Chrissy Heischman uses hers instead of a key card at work.
And it's just a little glass bead like the size of a grain of rice.
They're among a growing number of people implanting technology under their skin.
We don't want to carry devices. We want devices built into us.
Zoltan Ishvan of Mill Valley belongs to the Transhumanist Party. The movement seeks to radically improve humans through digital implants, even genetic manipulation. For now, a common procedure, implanting programmable RFID chips under the skin. But instead of a doctor's office, many are turning to tattoo and piercing shops.
We're doing the procedure start to finish just like we would do an earring, a nose ring, a belly button ring. It's just a little piece of glass.
The online company Dangerous Things sells the device and injection kit for $57. But they're not alone. A San Francisco company is developing tiny implantable digital tattoos. They'll authenticate credit cards, track your location, even collect health data. But the next big thing does present an age-old tech problem.
I have the older chip now. I need to get the upgrade.
Constantly being forced to upgrade implanted technology can mean a pain in more than just the pocketbook.
Now, Zoltan says his chip only works with Android and Samsung, and he actually has an Apple. These devices do come with some other risks, in addition to, of course, infection. Implantable tech raises some privacy and hacking concerns as well. Dangerous Things, the company that sells that chip, warns its device has not been tested for or certified by regulatory agencies.
Microchips, the mark of the beast. 666. The RFID microchip. We've been talking about this for a while, and I realize the technology is even advancing. But there's a Wisconsin company that is ready to install this rice-sized RFID microchip into their employees.
The terrifying future of every 80s science fiction movie has finally arrived. A vending machine company in Wisconsin is offering to implant its employees physically in their bodies with microchips. 3 Square Market says the chips, which are about the size of a grain of rice, can be used to access computers, operate printers, or buy goods from vending machines. Todd Westby is the owner of 3 Square Markets. He's welcoming us to the brave new world, and he joins us tonight. Mr. Westby, thanks a lot for coming on.
Yes, thank you for having me, Tucker. Glad to be here.
So, I mean, on the one hand, of course, I salute your, American innovation. On the other hand, I shiver in horror at the level of control you'll have over your employees once you implant microchips in their bodies. Why would you do that?
Well, that's really a misconception regarding the microchips. They're not GPS devices. We cannot track them in the workplace at all. They're basically used for conveniences that happen at the workplace and around the world. There are really no tracking devices at all, and we can't trace them anywhere.
Yeah. Leaving aside the fact that, of course, I don't believe you, why not just give your employees cards? Do they not have pockets in their clothing? I mean, why would you want to inject them with something like this?
They have access to proximity cards, which will do the same thing as a chip. They also have access to password or PIN pads with 4-digit logins that will get them in the building. However, it's much more convenient to a lot of our employees, being a technology company of break room markets and payment systems. It's the convenience factor that our employees are really in favor of.
Do you tattoo them with anything?
No, we do not. It's basically a implant that goes right beneath the skin between your thumb and your forefinger.
Now, if an employee had this implanted in his or her hand and then left your company, quit, could you pull them back using the chip? Could you instruct them to come back?
No, we cannot. Chances are they'll probably keep the chip in, because we have a lot of non-employees that are actually going to be implanted with the chip on Tuesday next week, along with we've had calls from several hospitals and about over 20 businesses that are very interested in getting this chip.
Now, how you can change their opinions with these chips, or their thoughts with the chips?
Well, we don't change their opinions or thoughts with this chips at all. No, there's no frequencies, no, weird science that happens with it. It's just basically an RFID chip that has to be held within 6 inches of a proximity reader. And earlier you mentioned passwords and people having access to them. One of the benefits of this chip is it literally eliminates passwords whatsoever anywhere within the business, and you can log in with your microchipped hand so that nobody knows the passwords, not even you.
Oh. Now, of course, I'm joking in a lot of my questions, but when you say there's no weird science in this, we're just injecting a microchip into your body so you can use the printer, we would at least concede there's some weird science in it.
You ready? Yeah. Let's go.
Well, it is out there as far as technology goes, but so was the driverless car 10 years ago, and now we have people sitting in it without a driver.
Huh. That's still weird technology. Technology. Last question, Todd, really quick. Would you be comfortable if the government or Amazon, same thing I guess, did this to you?
Well, they do it to the military right now. The government does, and it's a huge tactical advantage out on the fields, also with children. And we had a country call us regarding kidnappings. They're having a problem. So I guess it's the next thing.
Okay. I'm going to opt out. But thank you, Todd. I really appreciate it.
Matter of fact, this Wisconsin technology company is offering its employees a microchip implant that can be used to scan into the building and purchase even food at work.
All right, this Wisconsin company, this company says it's about to become the first in the U.S. to offer microchip implants to its employees. You heard that right, microchip implants under the skin. Josh Rosenthal joins us live from just up the hall to explain this. He's in the building with us right now. Josh, what's this all about?
That's right. So, Lindsay, just outside of the studio here, we've got a few of these vending machines. Now, we all know how these work, right? You walk up, you put your dollar in, you get your bag of chips. Well, as I learned today, these machines are quickly becoming very old-fashioned, and in fact, just how old-fashioned may surprise you. At 3 Square Market in River Falls, a team of programmers designed software for break room markets, like this one. Believe it or not, this is the reason they're about to do this to more than 50 of their employees.
It's the next thing that's inevitably going to happen, and we want to be a part of it.
The concept is pretty simple. Just like how you can buy something nowadays using your phone, what if you could use a microchip inside your hand instead? Todd, you're going to show us how this could potentially work.
Yes, basically what this is considered is a break room market in an office complex. We'll come up, scan the item, we'll hit pay with credit card, and it's asking to swipe my proximity payment now. I'll hold my hand up, just like the cell phone, and it will pay for my product.
Instead of a credit card,
correct,
your hand.
Because my microchip is now my credit card.
More than 53 Square Market employees are having them implanted starting next week. Not only can they buy stuff with them, they'll also be able to use the chips to get in the front door and log on to their computers. Each chip costs $300. The company's picking up the tab. The chip goes between your thumb and forefinger, and CEO Todd Westby says the data is both encrypted and secure. So if I'm one of your employees and I've got this chip in my hand, you won't know, hey, Josh is slacking off. I can tell because I'm reading this chip.
No, there's no GPS tracking at all.
Employees here aren't required to get the chip. One of the ones choosing to do so, however, just so happens to be former North Star player and current Edina hockey coach, Kurt Giles. If somebody told you back in the day when you're flying around the ice playing for the North Stars that you're going to have a chip implanted in your hand, you're going to use it to pay for stuff, you're going to use it to get in and out of buildings, what would you have told that person?
I probably would have thought a chipped tooth or a chip of ice, but not a chip that has the technology that we're talking about today.
Okay, now, in case you're wondering, Lindsay, each one of these chips, it's about the size of a single grain of rice. It's tiny, just one little grain of rice. And now, get this, if you get one of these implanted into your hand and you want to get rid of it, you know how you do that? For real, they tell me you just pop it out.
It's almost hard to believe. Did they offer you one?
They did. They very much wanted me to come back next week when they're putting them in employees and get one. Still not sold, but I'm a little closer to being sold than I was when I walked in.
Faster from the vending machine.
Sure would.
All right, now we need to upgrade the vending machines.
Yeah, really.
All right, thank you, Josh. Sure. All right, this may be the first time a U.S. company is using the technology, but it's already being used in Europe. A company in Sweden offered more than 100 employees the opportunity to get those microchips earlier this year. The company Epicenters Stockholm says phone and internet browsing history poses more of a threat than the chip.
Some workers have been implanted with microchips that allow the companies that employ them to track their every move. Swedish company Epicenter will embed a chip in about 150 workers, so bosses can monitor toilet breaks and how long they work. The workers volunteer to have the microchips, which is about as big as a grain of rice, implanted for free. Patrick Mesterton, co-founder and chief executive of Epicenter, an innovation and technology company, told reporters that the microchips inserted into employees' hands would simplify life. With a radio frequency identification chip, they'll be able to open doors and use office technology like photocopiers, and it can even pay for lunch at the office cafe. Epicenter holds parties for those willing to get implanted, congratulating the fools for becoming willing slaves for this aberrant project. The biggest benefit I can think is convenience, said Patrick Mesterton, co-founder and CEO of Epicenter. The technology in itself is not new. Such chips are used as virtual color plates for pets. Companies use them to track deliveries. It's just never been used to tag employees on a broad scale before. Epicenter and a handful of other companies are the first to make chip implants broadly available. As with most new technologies, it raises security and privacy issues. While it's claimed that the chips are biologically safe, the data generated by the chips can show how often an employee comes to work or what they buy. Unlike company swipe cards or smartphones, which can generate the same data, a person cannot easily separate themselves from the chip. Epicenter, which is home to more than 100 companies and around 2,000 workers, began implanting workers in January 2015. Now, about 150 workers have them. A company based in Belgium also offers its employees such implants, and there are isolated cases around the world where tech enthusiasts have tried this out in recent years. The small implants use near-field communication technology, the same as in contactless credit cards or mobile payments. When activated by a reader a few centimeters away, a small amount of data flows between the two devices via electromagnetic waves. The implants are passive, meaning they contain information that other devices can read, but cannot read information themselves. Ben Liberton, a microbiologist at Stockholm's Karolinska Institute, says hackers could conceivably gain huge amounts of information from embedded microchips.
The data that you could possibly get from a chip that is embedded in your body is a lot different from the data that you can get from a smartphone. So, you know, conceptually you could get data about your health, you could get data about your whereabouts, how often you're working, how long you're working, if you're taking toilet breaks and things like that. All of that data could conceivably be collected. So then the question is, what happens to it afterwards? What is it used for?
Recently, we have heard news that Elon Musk is launching a new company called Neuralink, with the intention of connecting computers directly to human brains. The billionaire entrepreneur is exploring neural-laced technology, the implanting of tiny electrodes into the brain that could be used to give direct computing capabilities. Last month at the World Government Summit in Dubai, Musk said people would need to become cyborgs to be relevant in a future dominated by artificial intelligence. He said a merger of biological intelligence and machine intelligence would be necessary for humans to stay economically valuable.
Now, whether or not to get a chip is up to the employees. This 3 Square Market, a company that provides technology for break rooms or micro markets, has over 50 employees working there who plan to have the device implanted.
This might be the craziest story we have seen all day. Dozens of employees at 3 Square Market in River Falls, Wisconsin, they're going to get microchips implanted in their bodies. This is the first company in the country to do anything like this. The chip is the size of a giant grain of salt. It gets implanted under the skin between the thumb and the forefinger. It looks like the chip you put in your dog. The chip implant uses the same technology as mobile payments like Apple Pay. You can do things like buy stuff from the break room. You can log into your computer, access the building without having to carry around your key card. 3 Square Market says the chip does not track people, but there are possible privacy concerns for the future. The company's CEO says those chips do have the ability to store medical and health information.
The tiny chip which is used is an RFID microchip, or radio frequency identification. It can be implanted between the thumb and the forefinger within seconds on your right hand. What about in your forehead?
Let me ask you at home, and even the guys here in the studio, a question. Let's say your boss offered you an easier way to log onto your computer in the morning, or bypass having to get change for the vending machine, or even get through a secure door by having a microchip planted in your hand. Anyone? Yes? Anyone? No! Yeah, well, it's apparently happening, and not everybody's happy about the idea.
I'm stunned to hear that that's actually something that's being considered now. I mean, that sounds so science fiction.
Kind of does, doesn't it? That's why we put Samuel Burke on the task. Apparently the guys in the studio aren't having it. How about you? What do you think of this?
Well, it's experimental, so we can't be sure of what's going to happen. But you know me, I'm an experimental type of guy. So I would go along with it just when it comes to work, nothing else, hey? But basically, what this company is doing, they're trying this out. I've got to tell you, this is RFID technology. That probably doesn't mean a lot to anybody at home, but it's the same technology we have in our badges that we use to get into work. So there's a company in Wisconsin. They're giving employees the option, and about 50 out of the 80 employees have opted to do it. So they can, instead of using the badge, or instead of using their phone to buy something at the vending machine, or instead of using a credit card, they just have a little chip inserted into their hand right there between the thumb and your pointer finger. It's done by either a tattoo artist or someone who has a license to do piercings put in that way. And it's really just the same technology that we're using inside other devices, only you can't lose it, even though I've been known to lose my hand every once in a while. Now, important to note here, The FDA has granted permission for similar technology to be used before, but they have regulations over concerns of radiation from some of these chips. So there are potential issues out there, but there are regulations in place. I'm guessing you wouldn't do it, Michaela.
I'm completely freaked out by this idea. What if somebody decides to cut off my hand and use my hand to get inside the door somewhere? Okay, maybe I watched too many movies.
What was interesting to me is I actually talked to the CEO of the company behind this technology. It's a different company that's using it for their employees, but the guy who's really one of the inventors behind this. And I said, do you have concerns? And he said, oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm concerned about hacking. I would be concerned about governments using it for nefarious things. So even the CEO himself says, yes, it could be used negatively.
Revelation. Well, hang on now. According to reports, the company, which is based in River Falls, Wisconsin, envisions the rice-sized microchip, allowing employees to easily pay for items and access the building and their computers, all with just the scan of their hand.
The latest office innovation is a microchip implanted in the skin and designed to replace the traditional keypad for opening doors, using the copier, even buying food in the cafeteria. To some, it's right out of 1984, but Jamie Yukas found willing workers in 2017.
So you can keep an eye on me?
Yes. To some, it may sound like a plot of a James Bond movie, but in River Falls, Wisconsin, employees at a vending company are going from the assembly line to front of the pack to get microchipped.
Do you think this is the future?
It is the future, and we look at this as being responsible.
Todd Westby is the owner of 3 Square Market. By next week, at least 50 of his 80 employees have signed up to become bionic, using what's called a RFID transponder in a microchip meant to make the workplace experience faster and more efficient.
So when you have the chip, you're just going to hold it up here and all those same options will come up?
The implant, which has been FDA approved, is the size of a grain of rice and is injected under the skin between the thumb and index finger by a licensed piercer. This company is offering the chips, which cost about $300 a piece, to its employees for free. Westby says they are not GPS enabled yet.
You're not going to be tracking your employees around town to see what they're up to and what they're doing?
No, we will not. It's for entrance to the building, logging into computers, making purchases in our break room market.
Westby says even if GPS became available, he would not use it on employees.
The concerns are, what information am I storing on this? What information am I giving away?
CNET editor Dan Ackerman says this technology raises red flags over privacy.
Anything can really potentially be hacked, especially because most of the actual information, it's not encoded on the tiny device under your skin of your hand by itself. You can never leave it behind. You can't really turn it off.
However, assembly line worker Eric White plans to be the first in line. He thinks someday the chips could save lives.
Somebody who's allergic to something or has a condition, they could scan your hand and all the information is there.
A promising self-service for some, a dystopian nightmare for others. Either way, the future is here.
The RFID chip is always with you, threatening your privacy, causing severe risk to your health and personal safety, and killing you if you do not obey rogue government demands.
Exploded from the inside. What?
When we start working here, they put tracers in the back of our heads.
You must not remove the tag from your body. Follow our directives, or we will detonate the explosive.
I love this big board.
Oh,
topic.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a big move at an office that could change the way a lot of Americans work. A tech company in Wisconsin is offering to implant tiny microchips into its employees.
Not just but no. The chips could allow people to unlock office doors, make purchases. Rebecca, come on here.
So many questions about this, Robin and Michael. Good morning. We asked a lot of them. This is the first American company to ever try this. 1 week from today, many of the employees, including the CEO, will voluntarily have the microchips implanted into their bodies, and they're calling it, I'm not kidding here, a chips and salsa party. Oh! This morning, like a scene straight out of 007.
So you can keep an eye on me?
Employees at one Wisconsin tech company, 3 Square Market, willingly making that fantasy a reality, implanting their own bodies with microchips. What did the employees say when you brought this idea to them?
Half of them actually within 5 seconds says yes.
CEO Todd Westby, along with 50 of his 80 colleagues, even his wife and kids, preparing to implant these chips, the size of a grain of rice, between their forefingers and thumbs, so they can do everything from buy snacks in the break room to log in the morning to unlocking doors with just the swipe of a hand. What did it take to persuade the holdouts?
Basically, we had to explain to them there's no tracking of the information. It's not GPS or anything like that.
The radio frequency technology in the devices, approved by the FDA, will be inserted with a small needle by a licensed technician. Some internet experts warn that the convenience could come at a cost.
Many things start off with the best of intentions, but sometimes intentions turn. We've survived thousands of years as a species without being microchipped. Is there any particular need to do it now?
Participation is optional, and some are holding out.
There's always the fear of infection, so it's the unknown right now.
But many are excited to give the new technology a try.
I think it's kind of cool. Just pop it up there and it'll work.
Just pop it up there. It's that simple. So to give you a sense, here's a grain of rice. The chips will be inserted like this grain of rice right here between your thumb and your forefinger. And most of the employees have opted in. It is voluntary.
One size fits all, I guess. Now, what happens if you get the implant and then you're like, I don't want this anymore?
So they told me, in case this happens, you pop it out. You literally push it out the way you would push a splinter out of your hand. Yes.
Okay.
Are you on board?
No.
What happened is you just became a very valuable man. You and that chip are connected, forever linked.
It's a company in Wisconsin offering employees microchips to replace ID badges. It's hosting a chip day party to implant the devices in the employees. And our guy Ron Mott is at the party. Hey, Ron, how is it?
Hey, Hoda and Matt, good morning to you both. You know, we all know people complain that their companies treat them like machines. Well, 3 Square Market is sticking it to their folks today using these needles. Now, let me show you first what this microchip looks like. It is about the size of a grain of basmati rice. So Patrick here is the CEO. Andy is a licensed body piercer, so let it rip. We're going to see this now.
I got it.
I can't look. I can't look. Needle is in. Chip is in.
Bingo.
Not very much blood at all. Patrick, how'd that feel?
Better than get my wisdom teeth out.
Okay, and you're still conscious.
Yeah, I'm great.
Melissa got chipped yesterday, but you had to be talked into doing this. How long did it take you to say yes to this?
I was a little hesitant at first, but I had 7 days to think about it, and once I learned the facts, there was no question in my mind.
Okay, one last thing we want to show you over here, Hoda and Matt. Go ahead, Steve. They can buy their goodies here in the break room by just using their hand. Real quickly, he's going to get a Kit Kat bar. And it's paid for $1.06, guys. So the question again, as we asked you last week, are you ready to be chipped, guys? Let's send it back to you.
Wow. I'm kind of I don't know that I would do it.
No?
Would you do it?
I don't. For the convenience of it,
Yeah.
maybe.
Maybe?
Yeah. I don't know.
Not for a Kit Kat bar.
Maybe for a Mercedes.
Maybe for a Klondike.
Yeah, exactly.
Certainly not a Kit Kat.
Ron, thanks. Hey, let's go to Dylan. Dylan's got more. You've been asking folks about it.
We've asked on Twitter, would you be willing to have a microchip implanted? And not surprisingly, 93% said no. What's wrong with this? It's easy to keep around.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. You know what you do? You go by the Kit Kat machine and you shake someone's hand and put it next to it and charge them.
That's right. You just bought me a Kit Kat.
What? Yes. And just in time for the Obamacare RFID microchip, it's in the bill, and it's been pushed around. I told you this before, and it's supposed to be implemented by December 31st, 2017, unless Congress repeals and replaces it. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do it, because they can always, even if they don't repeal and replace Obamacare, they can always just go in there and change the date when it would be implemented. But right now, folks, you're about 6 months away from, according to the Obamacare bill, the Affordable Health Care Act, this microchip is supposed to be part of the implementation, the radio frequency identification device. Oh, I don't know. No!
The chip, it's in the Bible. It's the mark of the beast.